on in mode.
All right. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Agasically Samus from the Rounding Off Infinity Gaming channel on YouTube, the E2KG Network podcasting channel on YouTube, aka Game Logic on Twitch, back with another episode of the Enough to Keep Going Weekly Games podcast. This is the GX Show Part 2 for March 2021. And it's not just me, even though I introduced myself as such. It's my fellow partners in crime, Mr. Swiss Guard. How you doing, Swiss?
Doing good. I haven't, I gotta confess, I haven't played as much games as I wanted to recently, but I truly appreciate this little oasis of gaming in my busy schedule the last couple of weeks. So,
Well, I'm so glad that we could be of service to you. Townmaster, apparently we are just here for Swiss Guard's entertainment. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'll try
my
to
sanity.
try to be as entertaining as I can.
Great. Very much to hear. Thank you, gentlemen, so much for joining in tonight. It has been a crazy week of weeks. And so, without much further ado, let's get to it. Tonight, starting off with our picks. Well, I'm sorry, with our new releases, starting off at the top of the show. Prime.
I bent the
Oh,
rules. Surprise,
we've got
surprise.
dueling headsets, and Tao slipped it into the agenda,
That's right.
thinking that he would undo me before mine came up. Very
Yeah.
underhanded, sir. Very underhanded, but well played. So tonight, we're not just going to be talking about new gaming releases. We're going to be talking about new hardware releases as well.
Oh yeah.
As Tao Master has a new piece of kit that he would like to play with. So before we proceed on to our PickZ PlayZ assignment, let's go ahead and hear a report from Tao about
The
the thing you want
Xbox
to talk about. Yeah, go
wireless
right ahead.
headset. Yeah. So I got the brand new Xbox wireless headset. Well, brand new for me at least. I think it's been out for a little bit now, a few weeks. Finally got my hands on one. I've been trying for the last few weeks now, just various stores and online retailers and stuff. But finally got one
Is it
from.
is it there in reach?
Uh,
Can you put it on the screen or
oh
no?
yeah. So here it
This is
is.
I haven't seen one, so
I'm gonna slowly rotate it. Yes.
very cool.
So it's
Very
pretty
cool.
pretty
Big ear
comfortable.
cups.
Yeah, they're fairly large. I'll admit it. I got kind of big ears, so these actually fit pretty well on my head, on my ears. Very comfortable. I probably played like maybe about an hour, maybe an hour and a half straight, and I didn't. There's no discomfort. They're kind of that kind of fakey leather. They're not real leather, but that's probably for the best because I think real leather would get me all super hot. But yeah, I played for that hour and a half, and I was comfortable. I didn't have any problems with the. I'll leave them over here for now. With the headset or anything. Um, Pretty sleek. Kind of a different design, I guess. And I don't know if you can tell here. the cups here. They're kind of a little bit larger than the actual, almost a little bit larger than the actual headset, which is usually a little odd. I think on most headsets they're usually smaller. Or there's like almost nothing here, but those are actually the dials, the controls. So left hand side is the mic control, and then the right hand side is volume control for games or whatnot. There's only 2 buttons on this thing. You got the power button, which is the same as the sync button, and then the mute button, like right underneath or right at the base of where the microphone is. So pretty minimal. So that's kind of nice. For now.
So does it have a dongle?
No dongle. It's Bluetooth.
So it just communicates straight with the Xbox. But now that also means that to use it on PC, your PC has to have Bluetooth.
Correct. Yes. Yeah, you'll have to have some kind of Bluetooth dongle or built-in to your laptop or desktop, which is actually kind of nice. Excuse me. Because lately when I've been playing with some friends, we've been using Discord, and I've been playing on my Xbox, so that's kind of hard. So I got to have like my headset, and then I'll have like a little earbuds in one ear, so I have to like pull the headset back on, and to listen to both. But with these, you can actually have them both connected at the same time to the Xbox and PC, which I actually tried out last night, actually. So that's actually pretty cool.
Fancy.
Yeah, I was actually very excited about that because it's really a pain in the butt. Or I just wouldn't have like my regular headset on, so I wouldn't hear. I'd have to like put up my like streaming setup basically because it would go through OBS and I could hear through there the game sound. But sometimes there's sound lag or input lag, so something would happen on screen before I'd actually hear it. So that's kind of annoying, especially if you're playing like a shooter or something. So this works out really nice. So I've tried only a couple of games so far. Warzone, Call of Duty Warzone, and Apex Legends, and it sounds great. I know I was reading some of the reviews actually before I got it, and they said that for the most part it's a pretty good headset for the price. It's $99, $100. And there's some problems with like audio that they had. Like these are audio files, so they're gonna nitpick and get into the nitty gritty of the things. But I mean, when I was playing it, I thought it was fine. I haven't even really played with the Xbox Accessories app where you can kind of like fine tune like all the settings and stuff for like sound and stuff. So I didn't even touch that yet. I just kind of went into it, which is a good thing because there's an update for it, and they do update, which is kind of weird, I guess. But I guess all the controls and stuff do that now. But yeah, so I haven't even played with that. But I mean, it sounds fine. I heard some people say that it was kind of and I think they said like tinny, almost kind of like a tinny sound to it, if you kind of know what that is. But I didn't really hear that when I was playing, so I don't know whether that came from or if maybe my hearing is maybe it's not the best or something like that. But it sounds just as good as my Rig, which is probably one of my better ones that I have, and one of the HyperX that I used to use. I don't have that one anymore because it broke. It sounds just about as good as those, and kind of the outside sound, like I can't really hear much. Like you really got to be like if you're kind of in the next room, you really got to yell so I can hear you. So that's good too, because you don't want to have all those outside sounds coming in when you're trying to play a game.
You don't want to be interrupted when you're gaming.
That's right. You don't want to have to like crank the whole thing up, deafen yourself.
So how much did those run you?
These were $99, $100. Yep. Which is the going price. I wasn't going to even try to play it over. I wasn't going to go to eBay or, all these secondhand, third-hand sellers on, Amazon or Walmart or whatever like that. So I was just like, I'll find it eventually. So finally I got it, which was nice for $99.
Yeah, and the scalping market is real. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, yeah. Every little thing, as you'll probably tell us here in a little bit. But yeah, no, I'm very happy so far. Like I said, the best feature, I can put it on my Xbox and PC at the same time, my laptop. So that's really nice. But yeah, otherwise, the only thing I kind of worry about is because of the dials are on the outside of the headset, that'll kind of get too loose maybe at some point. Hopefully not, but we'll see, I guess, as time goes on. But yeah, that's my only real worry. But otherwise, yeah, very comfortable. I would highly recommend.
Now, did you have the last generation wireless headset?
No, I never got. No, yeah, I never got that one. No. So I couldn't speak. I couldn't compare those two, unfortunately.
Very cool. Very cool. Swiss, any questions for Tao on the Xbox wireless headset?
No, it's probably not going to be in my wheelhouse. I don't know. For whatever reason, I don't know why I don't trust wireless headsets as much. I just every time I get them, it's like I don't like fiddling with the Bluetooth. So honestly, like the biggest takeaway that I had from that is like the dual PC Xbox connectivity, because um, that kind of eliminates one of my stumbling blocks for the wireless stuff. But I tend to just get wired. I don't know.
Yeah.
I also I could not survive on wireless alone, um, simply because of the fact that battery management is a thing, right? You don't charge the headset. Like I'm pretty decent about because of my OCD and always planning ahead. I'm pretty decent about like I'm gonna play on this thing tonight, and therefore I'm planning on using like this controller and this headset, and then charging those things like when I get up in the morning as part of my morning routine. Like I put them on the charger so they're ready at night when I come home. But like in the cases where you don't, like you forget to hook up the wireless headset, you'll go to use it, and there are times where it's not available because it doesn't have power, or you have to wear it while it's hooked into power, which just is just a pain. So one of the questions I wanted to ask you, Tao, did that come with? Does it have a 3.5 millimeter hookup, and did it come with the wire for that so that you can use it in non-wireless mode?
It's actually USB-C into the headset itself, and then just regular USB into whatever you're gonna charge it with. So I don't know if I'd be able to use it like while I'm charging it or not. I'm not sure. And the instructions are like super minimal, like it's all pictures basically. So they don't really
So
expand on that.
so it doesn't have a way to hook it because my Pulse 3D headset also has, and I think, and the PlayStation headsets have always had this. It also has a 3.5 millimeter input, so that in the case where it's not charged up, I can use it at least as headphones, um, plugging it into a 3.5 millimeter connection. Does the Xbox Wireless have that?
No, yeah, there's no 3.5 millimeter on this one. Yeah, which is kind of a bummer. And like you said, since I just literally just got it yesterday, so I don't know about the battery life. It's supposed to be about 15 hours, so we'll have to see. And I'm not sure, and I haven't really read up on it yet if there's any kind of audible, sound or voice that comes up when it's about to, or like a beep. I think most of my other headsets have like a beep when it's about to end. But the only thing I don't like about that is like literally it was like 2 minutes later the thing just dies. So I was like, oh, okay, well, I kind of wish they would do it a little bit, give you a little bit more time. But I guess it is what it is. So we'll see. I'll have to report back on the battery management as the weeks go on.
Yeah, and I don't know what happens with it while you're gaming, but what it should do is whenever you initially switch to it, it should put up in the upper right hand corner, the same place where your battery life is for your controller. It should pop over there. I think it normally, even since last generation, I think it normally then, well, like I said, I think last generation was wired, but I think normally what they do is when they do get in the near low battery state, an icon will come up in the upper right hand corner, hopefully,
Yeah,
to let you know.
that could be the case because it's kind of like integrated. You got the Xbox app, accessory app. That was actually the one other thing on the PC side. I couldn't get it to the Xbox accessory app on the PC. I couldn't get it to see the headset, but that was just like the first day I was trying. So I don't know. And I think I just been hibernating my laptop, so I might have had to like restart it or something to get it to see it maybe.
Yeah, so the controllers will do that. The controllers give you a heads up before they're just dead. So hopefully,
Right.
I think everything that's under battery power connected to your Xbox will pop in that right hand corner. So very cool. Appreciate that. I will definitely mention a few notes to compare that to the Pulse 3D experience on PlayStation here later in the show. But for now, Tao, why don't you go ahead and stay on the mic and talk to us about. So I'll introduce the PickZ PlayZ report. I guess that would be helpful. So the assignment this last 2 weeks, if you're not familiar with the shtick, what we normally do is we assign ourselves and any other listeners some type of gaming assignment with some type of specific constraints around it to kind of drive you to something that may or may not be in your comfort zone, to get you to flex those artistic muscles a little bit and get you to consume something with a very specific focus and a very specific intent. So the assignment for those last 2 weeks was 10 years ago this month, the 3DS released, and PC and console players were excited and later disappointed, exploring Kirkwall and Dragon Age 2. Those are not my words, so don't hate me, don't at me, because I don't know anything about Dragon whatever on Nintendo 3DS. Look back on the games and systems released 10, 20, and 30 years ago. Oh, this is about Dragon Age 2. I guess, on the other consoles. So I guess this is a comparative state. Whatever. I didn't write it. Look back on the game systems released 10, 20, and 30 years ago this year. Pick a favorite or something that you skipped or forgot about. And let's shine a light on those anniversary games and systems. So, Tao, I'm not going to give you a ration about this assignment, but
Hey, I stay true to the assignment this time. Technically.
Your pick was to go after Minecraft on the Nintendo Switch. So why don't you talk to us about your experience with that in comparison to the specific requests, specific asks of the assignment?
Yeah, so Minecraft as a whole came out 10 years ago. Back on PC, well, PC first, I guess. 2011, what was it? No, I lost the thing. November 18th.
November of 2011.
Yeah, 2011.
I'm going to call you out and say that there was a paid alpha for like 2 years before
Well,
that.
that's an alpha.
And if you had to exchange currency for the game, you know, I don't know.
That's a whole nother show, I think. Yeah, the official 1.0 release was 10 years ago, November 18th, 2011. So I'm right on par with today with this PickZ PlayZ. Unlike, I'll admit, I bent the rules a little on the new release because that was not a game; it was a tech. But maybe we'll switch that word around in the future. But yeah, so Minecraft. I mean, this is like one game that I can always go back to. And you know, I played on Switch, I played on PC, I played on Xbox, so I played on a bunch of things, even mobile at one point, or every once in a while. Now that I have the Switch, I mean, I could just play it on that.
Tablespoons,
Yeah.
kitchen stools,
Refrigerators,
and your toolbox in the garage.
Yeah.
Minecraft plays on anything.
Yeah, so it's like the new Doom. They put it on anything now, original Doom. So yeah, I mean, this is one game I can just always go back to and screw around with. And now even I kind of fell off a little bit on it for a while, and then obviously when my son started playing games, that was like actually one of the first ones he started playing on the iPad, one of my old iPads. And we've been playing it now since probably like 5 years now or so, 6 years going on. So it's just one of those games I like to go back and just screw around with. I mean, I was never like really the big builder in Minecraft, which is kind of one of the big things on there. But I could just like to explore the world, especially now because there's so many different biomes and excuse me, different creatures or mobs as they're called, either good or bad that you can explore, or you can go find and I don't want to say capture, but put in a farm. Let's put it that way. You can keep or kill, depending on if it's in a bad one or not. But yeah, I mean, this is just this is probably one of the first games that really surprised me that that I actually liked something that was kind of just mellow and I was always shooters and action adventure games and going back when I first saw this, I was in the pre-alphas. I was like, oh man, this looks terrible. This is back when I actually cared about graphics. I was like, looks terrible and looks like dumb. But I think I actually did try it on the PC at one point, and I couldn't get into it, mostly because I think the crafting system was it wasn't kind of automatic, kind of like how it has been in the last few years, where they kind of give you the recipe of what you need before you actually had to like go online and search up and research and stuff. It's like, oh man, this is like, I don't have time for this right now. But once I got on the consoles, I think that's where it really hooked me, and that's where they kind of did the automatic crafting for you, or not automatic crafting, but the automatic recipes where they just showed you what you need and you can just go out and get it. So that's where it kind of took off for me once I started playing on consoles. But yeah, I mean, I'll probably be playing this probably pretty much forever on and whatever system it comes out on. Hopefully. I know at one point they were supposed to have like a big texture. I don't even know if it was a texture, but some kind of big graphical update. But I think that got put on the wayside, and I think they were working on something else now. But obviously that wouldn't be on the Switch, but maybe for the Xbox Series X, we'll get that kind of graphical bump.
Yeah, I thought it was the whole ray tracing upgrade that they kept yammering about, and I kept saying, just release it so you can stop talking about it.
It kept delaying it.
I think it did come out. I guess maybe the end of last year. I thought, but maybe I don't know.
Yeah, maybe for PC.
Switch, you have Minecraft Family Palooza or something or other like that, don't you? Did that get the ray tracing pack last year?
I'm not sure if we got an update that got the ray tracing or if we had to buy something extra to do it. I mean, I have the RTX card. I haven't gone and fiddled with the settings. I'll be honest, like my Minecraft is like jumping in for 5 minutes, maybe with one of my boys while they're doing stuff. Um, but so I'm not a huge Minecraft player, but I do see, like Gasly said, like how like Minecraft is played on my PCs multiple times a week, and it has been for as long as I can, as long as we've had it. So, um, there's always and I think that's one thing that I really like about it is how accessible it is for like multiple age groups. Um, my younger kids can get on and tool around and have just as much fun as my older kids, and it's something that they can talk about and share together and play together. And we even connect to their cousins in another state, and they all play together and everything. So it's that's been good as like a video game kind of um, route for my family, so to speak. Because I love this hobby, and I want my kids to like the hobby because I want to share it with them. So Minecraft's kind of like the video game gateway drug for the Swiss Guard household.
Yeah, I think for a lot of households.
Yeah.
And it gets used like, I mean, even gets used in like educational systems and stuff for different things. And you got the redstone kind of acts as like circuits and stuff like that, where you can build all these weird machines and trapdoors and automatic stuff here and there. And people have made like all kinds of weird things. So yeah, it's just kind of a jack of all trades game there. So it's good. I like it.
Well, speaking of drugs and other things for adults, I went back and played something that you should definitely probably not introduce to your children, at least not right away. I played Bayonetta also on the Nintendo Switch. This was a very much almost a Switch uh, royal flush or straight. I am not a big poker player, so whatever that is, almost. So two of the three of us went after that platform. So during some of the days that I was meandering and trying to kind of get fixed and locked down on what I actually wanted to play this year, I did when I reloaded everything back onto my Nintendo Switch. I went in and played some Bayonetta. Again, if you bought Bayonetta 2, I guess the cartridge version, the physical copy, you got a download code for Bayonetta when it came out last year or 2 years ago or whatever. And so I went back. This is a game that came out in 2009, so I didn't follow strictly the 10-year anniversary rule, but more so just kind of a game released kind of in that time frame. Had a pretty decent time. I'm usually not a big, huge fan of kind of these Devil May Cry kind of, super explodey action, 3D action kind of games. Bayonetta is kind of a bit of a mess visually, just lots of things happening on screen, and it becomes oftentimes entirely impossible to actually keep track of what's going on, and you're just sitting there button mashing. But I had a little more clarity this time. It may have been because I played it on a 27-inch 144 hertz monitor. So even though it's a game that only renders at 1080p, I think I benefited a bit from that visual clarity and a sitting a little bit closer to the screen where I could actually, make it more so out exactly what was going on, at least better than I could with it displayed on a big 50-inch screen and kind of sitting back from it. The story is complete camp and cheese. And you're just like, a lot of times you're just like, what? But it is not as bad as maybe some other games to digest. So I had a pretty decent time. Kind of nonsensical lore that kind of gets jumbled and disjointed at some point, but a fairly decent action game. As with a lot of action games, it has those bosses that periodically just are kind of nonsensical and not challenging in the way that you'd want, but are kind of in that the game cheated kind of makes you feel kind of way. But all in all, I had a pretty decent time with it. It was a pretty decent respite from some of the other types of games that I've been playing on other platforms.
Is there are a lot of fan service type stuff. It's rated M, isn't it?
There is. I've never gone down the deep dark Google hole that involves Googling Bayonetta
Oh,
images. So I I have some sense of what might be out there, but I've never gone very far
but
down that way.
the game itself isn't too bad with regards to that.
I think probably the thing that's most egregious, and why I probably would definitely not show it to my daughters at this point is um, with that kind of anniversary version or that Game of the Year version or whatever that you get with the digital download. It has her wearing some of like the costumes uh, from some of the like Nintendo princess kind of characters um, that are really short skirts and I mean Bayonetta already touches on the edge of kind of voyeurism as it is. And I think some of the moves and stuff with those particular elements and particular costumes, again, probably not the best for pre-tweens or whatever. Um, so
Was this
yeah,
the first time you played this, or because have you had this for a while?
I've had it since it came out. I bought it at launch. Again, one of those games that I bought it at launch and then like played it once or twice and immediately put it in the backlog. I played it in 2009 ish or whatever when it came out. I want to say I played it. I can't remember if I played it on Xbox 360 or on PlayStation 3, but I played it on one of those two consoles. And it's just one of those games that you know, I've always gotten through it up to a certain point and then would get frustrated with a given level or a speed challenge or just something that just kind of wasn't in. I'm just much more so these days cut into that vein of like, I play the Division 2, it's a straight up fight, like I'm very clear on what's going on, right, and what I need to do. It's not a bunch of, haha, I've got a secret trying to figure things out. And there are a couple boards in particular. There's where I fell off of it this time. There are some speed challenges where you have to go over and raise a statue, and then after you raise the statue, a bolt of lightning is emitted, and if you successfully dodge that, which is a total timing move, um, then you are given super speed, and then you have to use the super speed to cross like a pretty significant amount of ground in order to get back to a gateway that otherwise has been closed and you were unable to open. And then you have to pop it open in enough time to still have your super speed. In fact, where I dropped off, you have to have your super speed enough to get about halfway across a bridge on a chasm that is like the leap of faith bridge in the last crusade. Like you don't see it and it doesn't really start appearing until you start crossing it, and then you can only get about halfway across it before you have to jump or double jump and try to get to the other side. So that's obviously just a whole kind of series of calamitous events that you have to string together perfectly in order to get across the bridge. And after trying it several times pretty late at night, I was like, this is, I'll just buy the battle pass to Call of Duty. so, um, so there we are. But I mean, well-designed game. I had a good time. I know that it appeals to a lot of people. I don't, question its place in history as a game in terms of its design. So I enjoyed what I played of it, and I'll probably even play a little bit of Bayonetta 2 as well. Uh, Now, Swiss, you did play something that is much, much more closer to my personal wheelhouse. So you played a Shogun 2 Total War, keeping it Eastern Asian. I think that's your theme throughout all of tonight, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's pretty consistent. I probably would have played Shadow Tactics if
Mm.
I had more time to make it a trifecta, but I didn't. So yeah, the Total War games are always games that are like, I should play that, and because I remember having Rome Total War, which they just announced like a remake or a remaster or something like the last day or two. And I think I enjoyed it. But that was a long time. That was a long time ago. I don't really remember too much of what I was doing when I was playing it. So, um, I don't remember much of the actual gameplay experience. So I don't know how I think Shogun 2 they made it free for like a few weeks on Steam and I had picked it up so it was in my backlog for a while. So I figured I'd pull that out. Um, I just I didn't play it that long, but it just didn't click with me. And I don't know if I'm less patient now that I'm not in high school and college and have a ton of free time to game and really settle into something like this, or if I just prefer other styles of like strategy games. But it felt very plotting, and I just didn't enjoy moving my troops around the battlefield. And I know you can adjust the speed and everything like that, but um, it wasn't that it a lot of times like you said, it was one of those games where you play for a couple hours, then it's going to go back to the backlog, and that's how I felt with this one. I will say one thing that stuck out to me and has nothing to do with the gameplay itself, but it does go to the PickZ PlayZ assignment of 10, 20, and 30 years ago, is that I had, when I installed it and I launched it for the first time, I had to install Adobe Flash in order to get it to run. Well, I mean, it could run without it, but I think they used that for some of the animations or something. But just like,
Have,
wow, the
have you
times have
played
changed.
Have you played Three Kingdoms?
No, no, I haven't played that.
Yeah, I'd be really interested to hear if you get a chance to try that out. It was last year's release or 2019. I think it was a 2019
Mhm.
release. It is their most recent Total War game. Also, East Asian kind of models. The Shogun Wars of Japan, and I guess when is it Nobunaga? Am I pronouncing that correctly? Um,
Think so. I don't. That's something I need to read up on Japanese history. So
Yeah, I mean, if you love Ghost of Tsushima and you were thinking about playing Shadow Tactics and kind of at least had enough of an interest to take a pass at this game, I wonder if Three Kingdoms would more so suit you. I think it's advanced in design beyond, it came out after Rome Total War. I think this came out before Rome Total War.
I thought Rome Total War was one of the early. Well, Shogun Total War was like the first one, right? I thought Rome Total War was pretty early 2000s,
I
and
think I think it went medieval, and then I thought it went Shogun. I don't know if
there.
Shogun 2 came out after Rome Total War.
Yeah, we should probably Google
Yeah,
that.
but but Rome, there are slight differences between them, and it might be worth checking out Three Kingdoms. I think you'd
You
get
feel,
a.
yeah. So the the gameplay is tighter and just feels more tactical, I guess.
It might feel a little faster if you felt Shogun 2 was a little plotting. There may be a little more meat on the bone for you there in Three Kingdoms.
All right. Looks like Rome. So Total War Shogun, like this Shogun 2 Total War came out before Total War Rome 2.
Okay.
So there
Okay.
was a lot in there.
Yeah. Yeah. Still good stuff. Tao, you kept it on Diablo 3. So that pretty much completes our PickZ PlayZ report out. Again, Tao played Minecraft. I played Bayonetta, both of us on Nintendo Switch. And Swiss played Shogun 2 Total War on PC. As far as going back and kind of revisiting some gaming history of the last 10 years, just to wrap that off, but before we move on, um, Tao, did going back and hitting Minecraft kind of give you any kind of evoke any thoughts about like your experience in gaming and the advancement of gaming over the last 10 years or like that specific point in time in gaming?
Um, no, I mean, no, not really. I mean, it's. I think this game has been kind of on and off for me for so long. It's just, and it was so different from what I had been playing at the time. It's like it has nothing to do like with whatever else I was doing at that point. So, yeah, not really.
I think my own experience was just it did kind of evoke that again remembrance of how everyone was kind of gaga over these Devil May Cry games, and Bayonetta was supposed to be a little more approachable. I want to say was part of the marketing shtick. That Devil May Cry definitely had its highest appeal kind of amongst the hardcore or hardcore core, and Bayonetta was supposed to be something for like everyone to play, and it had a little bit of that appeal, at least as far as you could initially get into it. Um, but then again, eventually, later on in the game kind of crept more towards that Devil May Cry design. I guess, going back and revisiting it, those games will kind of always be around. I think to a certain extent, the gaming industry has evolved to where it's more of kind of the Bloodborne and the Souls types of games that are kind of filling that niche. Although you still get these kind of super hyperactive 3D action games that also fall into there. Swiss, anything that got evoked from your side? From playing Shogun.
I mean, the the graphics were rather sparse on the maps, at least in the through the tutorials and the initial levels that I was playing. Uh, you know, but 2011, I mean, 10 gaming, like the quality and like of the power of processors and graphics cards and everything has evolved, but it wasn't anything where I was like, wow, this is hideous. It's just, I think, it wasn't like me going back to a PlayStation 1 game and like, how did I play Final Fantasy 7 on PS1? Like, there's like 8 polygons on here, so I don't know. So no, not really. I didn't. The biggest shock was basically having Flash pop up. That was the biggest timeline shock that I had.
Very good. All right, gentlemen, let's roll on, shall we? It looks like everybody was embracing their backlog as is kind of becoming the mantra, the flag banner to be wave this year. Tal, you went back and played some more Diablo 3 on Nintendo Switch, as I did a few weeks ago, but on PC. Anything interesting to convey to the group?
Yeah, no, I was just continuing. I think I mentioned this last GX show. Just playing with a friend of mine. We're just going through co-op, going through the story, or for me going through the story. I think he's beat it already, and just playing. What was I think yesterday or a couple days ago here on my monitor. It actually looks pretty. I mean, it looks pretty good on the Switch. I mean, I don't know if it was ever like a graphic powerhouse as far as like graphics. I mean, obviously there's like tons of enemies and stuff that are always getting thrown at you. But I mean, I always thought it looked pretty good on the Switch, and hopefully, when the next one 4 comes out, they'll bring it to the Switch also. I mean, I can always get it on Xbox, I suppose, but once it actually ever does come to the console. But yeah, I mean, I mean, I still think it looks like a pretty good game. I still have I have no idea what's going on in the story, even though I'm going through the story mode. Like, I have no clue what's like. There's angels and there's like cool cutscenes like I mentioned last week or last time, that pop up every now and then, and even like. I know you can kind of like get into like there's probably like websites and forums and where you can go and look at like all the gear that you can get and like specify it to like certain things, and I'm always just okay, here's armor, is it like higher than the one I have? Okay, I'm gonna put it on. So, and I'll kind of look at the other stuff, and I'm trying to look at that a little bit more, but it's kind of hard just with everything going on and being busy. But I mean, I'm playing my main one is a necromancer that I play through the story, and then I just started I think it's called a demon hunter, where he uses like crossbows and bows and arrows and stuff like that through the seasons. And I'm still not quite sure. Like, I know each season, like I guess the character gets wiped, and you can reuse it for the next season if you want. But or what I'm probably gonna do, I'm gonna try to go through the seasons a little bit more because you get like special gear and stuff. But I'll probably like kind of just play with each class just to see like how each one does. But I don't understand like. Okay, I guess wiped. Like, I still don't understand. Like, do you keep the gear and can you use it for the next guy, or can you use it at all? Like, I don't get what the exclusive stuff is. I know you get like pets and some exclusive banners, which I'm assuming you can just trade between the people, because that's like that's just cosmetic stuff. But I don't know if like the special like weapons and armor and all that stuff that you find, if you get to save it, because there was like a chest like in the hub area that you go to. That you can store stuff, but I don't know if that carries over, so I guess I'll find that out. And I haven't had a chance to really dive into it, but it's fun. I like it. It's kind of reminds me of like like just a more powerful and graphically a better like gauntlet, and then you can just get more gear because obviously gauntlet, it was just you'd pick the one person if you remember that game from back in the day. And, you just had that one power for each person. But here, obviously you can get different weapons and stuff. So it's just, I'm having fun with it right now. Just something I didn't expect either. Maybe it's the loot, I guess.
Yeah, and part of your learning experience was mine as well too. Like I, made a decision that I wanted to go back and play that game. I played with you guys, played a little bit online multiplayer on the Switch, and what I learned from experience, love you guys, but like again, like I'm finding out with a lot of games, like if you really want to experience the story, I just gotta like not live stream it, not play multiplayer, and I just need to have a quiet night at home to kind of really absorb it. And that's what I started happening when I took off and played more Diablo 3 kind of on my own and not live streaming. I got into the lore, I understood the story a little more, I had some of that connective tissue back to Diablo 2. But I did spend some time going out and Googling. I at least Googled enough so I found out, like, I was like, what the heck should I do in this game? And I found a site that had like a listing of all of like the campaigns right from the very beginning. And this is the thing that I'm finding out too. I think I maybe have mentioned before about how, if you're going to reload Forza Horizon 4 or Forza 7, like after those games have been out a few years and they have like 20 VIP car packs, like it's a whole afternoon to reinstall a game like that. And I think that's kind of the lesson of like the long-term game as a service game too. Like if you're going to install it, you're going to have to swim through a lot of stuff to figure out, hey, where should I start? Like I really struggle to understand, and I haven't kept up with everything in Destiny 2 this season with like everything they vaulted, but I like look at that and I'm like, how is a new player supposed to know what they're supposed to do in Destiny 2 with how they fragmented and moved pieces of the story around? I'm like, and there was a platform, it may be because I went back and picked it back up on Stadia, or there was somewhere that I started playing it again recently, kind of fresh, and I was just like, I'm not gonna. It used to be, I think when I started on Stadia, I went back and played uh, the original campaign, and then I started playing down the campaign 2 of Destiny 2. But this time I went back to it, and I was like, whatever the legacy story is, like, it's like too entangled to figure out. I'm just gonna pick a planet and go and just do stuff. And I feel it's kind of unfortunate that it's that way for Destiny 2, and to think that it's that way for Diablo 3 and some of these other games that are kind of getting long in the tooth now is a little unfortunate. Tao, in playing Diablo 3, did it get you excited at all for Diablo 4 or for the Diablo 2 remake that's coming out?
Yeah, definitely for 4. I don't know if I'll probably go back to 2, I guess eventually 2, or also. But yeah, I'm excited for 4. I can't wait for that one. I don't think I don't think they gave a date or anything, or even it's like a time period of when that even might come out. But I'll definitely, like I said, I'll pick it up.
Yeah, I had, I guess, a similar experience. It's just I played Diablo 3 a few years back on PC with a couple of like family members basically, and we just kind of went through it together. Um, and playing with them helped me get through it because um, I feel the same tension between like story and accessibility for new players and just making it a grind and engaging for like long-term service players, so to speak. And I had fun with it for what it was, but I went through it once and I haven't really been back to it. Um, but for me as a gamer, like that just loop in and of itself isn't enough to engage me. And that's why, like, I'll be honest, I haven't probably launched Destiny 2 in a couple of months. So I can, and like you said, it's just more and more it's evolving towards a mod. Like, I mean, I'm not denying the fact that it wasn't, an MMO kind of model from the beginning, but they're really pushing in that direction with the Destiny 2, and that's why, I don't know how Diablo 3, Diablo 4 isn't really on my radar because of Diablo 3. Like if it's more of that, but like with fancier worlds and new classes, then I'll probably give it a pass just because it doesn't really scratch that story-based itch that I have.
Hey, Prem, how about your experience playing Morrowind on Xbox Series X? Was it at all similar, or was it a slight kind of departure um, from that Diablo 3 experience, looping back to it?
Oh yeah, Morrowind. So I've heard a lot of Morrowind. Like it was like one of the best Elder Scrolls games, and after playing like just Skyrim and even Oblivion, which is the next game after that, it's just like wow, it was like light years past Morrowind, those games, and it's just like oh man, I think Morrowind is, from what I read too, and unfortunately I only played like maybe 45 minutes at the most. It really delves deep into the RPG side of things. Like you really gotta power yourself up with different items or the potions. I think maybe even like the potions and stuff play a little bit more important role in Morrowind to give yourself an edge. Because I was just getting like destroyed from like the simplest like little things. Like I picked the Argonian, which is like the lizard type person. He's supposed to, or she's supposed to be, an expert. Has better swimming ability basically. And I don't know if I just didn't. I have to activate it or something because I was like swimming slow as heck and I couldn't do anything and I got killed by like just the weakest fish that's out there, like that never had a problem with when I was playing Skyrim or Oblivion. So, but I mean otherwise then I mean kind of and I've kind of noticing a trend here, but it pretty much starts the same way. Like you're this no name person that comes into town and you're the savior all of a sudden. So I mean that's pretty much the storyline from both Oblivion and Skyrim. So it's I kind of soured it for me, I guess, at least in the story wise. Not that the story was like a super huge thing for me. I mean, the story for those games I think is more like digging through like books and all the different lore stuff you can find like within the game. It's not really like the actual main storyline that hooks you, at least not me most of the time. So yeah, it's definitely a different experience. I have to go back though. I think I might even start over. Possibly, I don't know, because you can kind of just like the other games, you can save like any time, and I kind of saved in a place that I think I'm gonna die like just over and over again. So because I just saved in a bad spot, and it just like sets you right back there. And I don't think, as far as I can tell, you can't. Well, maybe there's multiple saves, so I might be able to go back a couple of saves. Because usually games like that, I'll save like 3 or 4 different times. So I got to see if there's like an auto save or something that might have popped in there that I can go back to. But yeah, unfortunately, I haven't had to play I didn't get to play as much as I would have liked.
Yeah, Morrowind was that game that kind of felt to me like a walking around simulator, and was definitely one of the games at the beginning of the. Was this the on the original Xbox
Yeah,
when it first came out?
So right.
yeah,
Yeah, this is one of the games that officially like it formally turned me off to the 40-hour game. Like up until then, the 40-hour RPG was kind of in my selectable menu items of things to put in the grocery cart. But after this, I was like, nope, not into this anymore. Like 40 hours, not up for it, and 40 hours spent, with part of it just spent like wandering the multiverse, right, trying to figure out like what to do, instead of being targeted at a very specific thing to go do as an activity. So right there with you. Hey, one of the things that I've been doing in this whole soul searching and meandering, I know that we kind of started off the year saying, hey, DBQ and I, and maybe you guys to a certain extent, um, partially or whatever, but lots of us have had this sentiment that, hey, I'm going to spend my time, diving deep on this subscription game or this game as a service or kind of just going down this vector. Um, and then in the last kind of month or so, I've been clobbered with some items from work and some certification exams I had to take, and I was just like, I don't know that I have the dedicated focus like to spend on like a thing like this or some things like this, at the expense of, I'm probably just slipping into a model where I'm only going to be able to get in and hit something for a little bit, right? For now, and then it's going to go into the backlog. And I don't know that I want to limit that solely to like Eve Online and War Thunder and some of these other subscription games that I was playing. And so probably for the third time since last fall, I wiped a lot of my systems and it was like I'm just gonna focus on like like the games that I want to engage on, and it's going to be a few, but I kind of want to start with a clean slate. Uh, and so I did that with my Xbox Series X for one thing, with my PlayStation 5 as well, and I'm kind of doing it with some of my PCs. But I said I also want to open up the aperture on like games that I'm going to go back and play, um, and so and maybe consider some things that normally I wouldn't, because I'm thinking about spending less time with certain titles, and so I'm not as wrapped around the axle about this feeling of anxiety that I get of, hey, I'm gonna play this thing, but for the 40 hours or whatever that I have to play it, it is a speed bump, it's an obstacle, it's an impediment to me getting from that over to the next thing. Um, so in kind of more, looking at a larger or wider inventory of games that I wanted to play. One of the first things I selected wound up being Hand of Fate 2 on the Xbox. Now, I can't talk extensively about the developer because I don't know them well. I can't talk extensively about the publisher because I don't know them that well. This game, though, received a lot more praise than I would have thought, and it just was one of those things that just completely missed my radar. Like, didn't pop up as high on like the Metacritic list where I kind of set my threshold of games I'm going to look at and above. Was within like the score range of the type of game that I want to play, but just didn't get the hype to get into my windshield, right, watching the news cycle. So, Hand of Fate 2 is, and it's also a card-based game, partially. And that is one thing, normally what I've been doing up until now, is if it says card game anywhere in the description, I'm like, nope, I'm out. But like I said, I opened up the aperture a little bit and wanted to take a look at this. It was pretty well regarded. It is partially a card game, and it plays out a little bit kind of like a game of old school Dungeons and Dragons. Like if you've, for you youngins out there who are playing video games now who aren't familiar with Dungeons and Dragons back in the heyday, if you watch something like Stranger Things, and you kind of see that dialogue, or you've seen other games of similar ilk, starts off kind of a little bit maybe like a kind of Magic the Gathering. Again, I'm not a card game expert, so I don't know for certain, but basically you're presented a scenario, right? It's the cards are laid out kind of in a structural map for you to choose which direction through that map garden you want to walk, to a certain extent. And you have a narrator who's sitting across the table from you, kind of an old scarred wizard, who gives you a description of a scenario and asks you what you want to do. And then, kind of in choose your own adventure book format, that's probably another thing where I'm dating myself because I don't know that those books are prevalent in this current generation. But it's very kind of much a choose your own adventure type of thing, and you're given 2 or 3 choices, like you're walking down the road and a group of bandits jumps out and attacks a stagecoach, right? Or bandits fall upon some farmers who are coming down the road, right? And you decide, hey, am I gonna jump in with the soldiers and help them? Am I going to jump in on the side of the farmers and help them, or am I going to grab the farmers and run into the forest, right? You're given a few different options. And depending on those options, when you pick one, you never know whether or not a fight's going to break out after that, or something else is going to, or the narrator is just going to tell you something happens, right? Because of the choice that you made. So you kind of go through that set of card deck, and along the way, you get cards in your inventory. You get encounters that you can pick, right? Because they formulate that card map for the next round. Sometimes you pick up cards that are weapons, cards that are food, cards that are gold. And you kind of go around this map, choose your own adventure, you have to choose to conserve along the way because you eat food regularly. So when you run out, right, the next round, you'll lose health. And so kind of in some ways like that Total War series, Swiss, when you're in the card game mode, it's kind of like that strategic map. And then it zooms in and gets into more of, again, in Total War, it's a real-time strategy, but in this game specifically, it's more of an action game mode, where those enemy units are on the battlefield and they start coming at you, and you engage in kind of a brawl and a fight with them, in a combat system that is very much kind of like I call it the Nemesis system, but kind of that Batman video game kind of combat, or Shadows of Mordor, where it's heavily timed. If you button spam and you go one attack too many, you'll wind up swinging your sword right when the other character is swinging at you in a moment when you should have parried, but you won't be able to break your action motion in order to parry, so you'll just wind up taking a hit. Um, but and then those action sequences are built in ways where sometimes you stumble into an action sequence and it's easy peasy, right? You paid the right choice in terms of getting a pretty decent reward out of a pretty low level of difficulty. But in some other cases, right, that action scene has a boss character in it, right? And you have to figure out how to tactically take that person down because they have a set of attacks that you're not familiar with. And then so there's a larger strategic map. So you play like the card game. Each card game is is what they call a challenge, which is a series of anywhere from 20 to 30 rounds. As you go around different challenges on that card map. And then if you complete a challenge, then you go back to a larger strategic map and you again pick, which challenge you're going after, which is essentially kind of which direction down the road you're going to go. And then in the setup phase, you were asked how many of, what's the mix of weapons you want to take, because along the way you earn weapons and eventually you have more than you could possibly take on a singular adventure. So you pick what weapons you're going to take. You could pick which encounter cards you want to have in your deck, because again, that sorcerer sitting across from you, he uses those cards to lay out and form that card map. So you could, if you wanted to, go through that deck and pick like the most advantageous cards to lay out in the card deck to help you out. And then you could pick to a very limited extent what kind of I want to say I think it's kind of what animal you want. Maybe it's not what animal, but sometimes you have a companion, and you get that card to go along with you as well. So surprisingly, I have had a ton of fun with this game over the last few days. It's not my normal type of fare. It's not as action oriented as I would have thought, but I love those little set piece battles, and then kind of being able to sit back in your seat and kind of go through the card game piece of it and just read. And not be on the edge of your seat all super tense like you are playing Call of Duty. So yeah, I've had a pretty decent time with it.
What was like? What drew you to this? Like hey, because like you said, I'm assuming like in the description it had like the card, like it was a card battle thing was kind of there. But what was like? Oh hey, I'm gonna give this a try.
Nothing in particular. Like I said, I just kind of wanted to open myself to the notion of playing like any game from the last 5 years that kind of was in the good category. And this was one of them. Sorry, I'm trying to lay my coffee top down without having it drip into the ups. That would be bad. Yeah, it was less of kind of what attracted me to it, and more so what prevented me from throwing up the normal like stiff arms that I normally would. Like normally this game would come up on my radar as I was going through my search parameters, and I would just like blah 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 card. Yep, nope, done. Going on to the next thing. So I didn't throw those blockers up this time. Is why it wound up falling into my bucket.
Yes.
Yeah, Prime, were you going to say something else?
Nope.
Yep. And then the other thing that I've been playing is The Witcher 3 on PlayStation 5, which is actually the PlayStation 4 version. I think that makes 3 platforms to have this game on now. And haven't yet gotten a ton down the road on either one. But I decided to play it on PlayStation 5. Again, in terms of kind of opening up the aperture, I let myself calm down a little bit from kind of where I got very like intolerant of some of the shenanigans that you had associated with like broken missions and things like that. And some of the things that not there's not a ton of Red Dead Redemption like super mundane stuff in it, but the game's long. There are very long sections like between you finding story elements and periods of time that you're basically kind of grinding like internally into the game. Now I know, not to spend time wandering around trying to find this point on the map, because it's actually like at the bottom of a river, right? And I didn't know that the first time around. But the game looks gorgeous on PlayStation 5, plays fine with controller. Yeah, the PlayStation 5 version, I did buy it. The other neat thing of it is it comes with all of like the expansion pack stuff for the last few years, but yet I will still claim next gen is horrible on Xbox or PlayStation because again, going back to this notion of like how playing games that have had a very long service life and have a bajillion different service packs and downloadable content. The Witcher 3 is one of those. It has expansion packs, but it also has tons of downloadable content that's just costumes, individual adventures. They're not even as big as the expansion pack, but are just like a single mission. But all those things are junked into the PlayStation Store. And what's not clear is, so number one, good that it's cross-gen, or is playable on PlayStation 5 with PlayStation 4 backwards compatibility. But there's no clarity between like, okay, here's the Witcher Ultimate Edition that's supposed to include all of the downloadable content, right? But yet I have all these DLC modules that are marked as free. Are they in the expansion pack? Are they not in the expansion pack? I don't know. So I just had to make the notion to comb through all of them and set all of them up for download, lest I make the mistake that I download like, the expansion packs and don't realize that I have access to this other stuff. So just a little bit more sentiment that Sony and Microsoft would clean up their act with regards to the store. You guys have been around a while. It's time to kind of clean things up. um, but yeah, but like I said, had a decent time with it. Had grokked the combat system a little more. That's been a little problematic for me to get my teeth around. Again, it's kind of in that Nemesis vein, but it just there's a half step off of it that makes it not feel quite as smooth as those systems. So. But in similar vein, Swiss, you also played an action adventure single person combat a palooza type of game, Ghost of Tsushima, and you actually finished it. Or did you finish it? You finished it.
Yeah, I finished it. So it's I know I've been reporting on it periodically over the last several months. But this will be my last report for some time because the game is done. Um, so I put a solid 80 hours into it, I think, because it shows that on the save file. But I took my time. I got to the point where it was like going to the last mission, and then I kind of kept doing all like the side stuff, liberating the different regions. There's like three like big regions, and within each region there's like sub areas that you need to eliminate the Mongol camps from, and you know, uh, just really like did like I did with Horizon Zero Dawn, and just went and then um tried to like clear out the map. So the biggest takeaway, like it was my game of the year last year. I really enjoyed it. I liked the combat. Um, but as far as completing the game, um, the thing I want to report out on is like the storytelling, and I actually cared about the character interactions, and there are multiple characters, and they have different philosophies and perspectives, and it's kind of like real life, and there's conflict between, even though they have the same goal, their their strategies for dealing with that goal are different and in conflict, and it actually creates a little bit of a depth of character. And so one, the story that that was well done, but two, they don't beat you over the head with cutscenes like other games do. So it was very well paced. The story was good, and it does set you up at the end. Like I noticed that getting into that third act, so there's three acts. You get to the northern part of the island, you can pretty much rush through and get to the final boss and complete that without doing very much. In the third act, so you can kind of rush through it. Like I said, I paused and I went around and did everything I could. It sets it up for like, okay, you've defeated the Khan. Um, Now we gotta finish driving the Mongols out, but I had already done that. So, um, as far as replay, if you enjoy the world, you can bust through the story and then still have some time afterwards. But I just, want to tip my cap and thank Sucker Punch for doing a good job. And I enjoyed their little um tribute to the old samurai films, and I hope I hope they they return to this world or do something similar because they did a good job.
All right, so I had a couple questions. One, so I know you said you liked the story, you cared about the story. Was the ending satisfying for you? Did it wrap it,
Yes.
and did it
Yeah.
wrap it up, or is it kind of does it leave it open for a possible sequel?
Um, they don't do like a cliffhanger thing. It leaves it open where it's like your work is not done, but it's not like, they're like, oh, look, it's the next big baddie sailing in on a ship. What are we gonna do?
Yeah.
Cut to black. So it's nothing like that. Um, I mean, I could see them going a couple of different directions with it, but it was interesting because the fight with the big bad, Khotun Khan is kind of like the penultimate act, and then they have like a follow-up kind of boss encounter that really wraps up, like I said, the interpersonal stuff in a strong way. So I actually found the ending very satisfying
Nice.
because it ties up like the overarching story and then the personal conflicts.
And you only play as the one character, right, through the whole thing?
Right.
Okay.
There's no Raiden. You guys remember Metal Gear Solid 2 and
Yeah.
um that that curveball. But yep, you play as the one character, even though you frequently go on missions with a variety of side characters. So, um, and I played through all their stories, and again, you know, I think everybody is dealing with, like, all the side characters have to deal with different aspects of the invasion and how it affected them personally, and how it, that a lot of them flirt with going too far or reacting in the wrong way and having to kind of keep their, I don't want to say keep their cool, but that temptation to give in to like hate and anger and let it consume you. Like the whole, you know, light side dark side thing in Star Wars, like the same kind of similar vein. But it's I just I really appreciated it.
All right, so the other thing I played was Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. So I wrapped up my time with the first season pass after pretty much having been on that game and stayed on that game since launch. I took about, I don't know, a month or two off, and again, part of my soul searching, trying to figure out, well, am I going back to that? Where does it fit? How does it fit and not clobber these other things? But again, kind of using a few different filters of the things that I want to play. I'd hit one of my triggers that I have laid out for Call of Duty Black Ops, which was to get in and kind of see where I was from a microtransaction perspective, and whether or not there was anything additional worthwhile for me to pick up. And I wound up getting the Battle Pass for Season 2. So, moved the PlayStation 5, set it up on a where I'd had my work laptop actually. So I'm on a smaller screen, 24-inch 1080p. But I did break out in keyboard and mouse so I could play that. So I could use that in my Cold War Season 2 kind of in dock. And after, kind of relatively short order, it started coming back to me. I started placing well and everything. So I'm having a blast. I know that they've moved some maps around. And so now they have so they created Stockpile, which is kind of to me a mixture of Kill Confirmed and Hardpoint. And so you like Kill Confirmed, you had to go around and not only kill people, but also take their dog tags. But then they have a constantly moving drop point where you have to bring the dog tags back to and drop them off within that safety circle to get points. So I didn't think that I was going to like that one that much, but I did. Team Deathmatch also seemed to come up a little more frequently than I was used to this time around, which was good. The last time I played in Season 1, it felt like every mode but Team Deathmatch was coming up. So I had a good time. Got wiped all my configuration spots for loadouts, and I'm starting to work on brand new loadouts. The other thing that happened while I was playing it is I finally got a chance to try out my PlayStation 5 Pulse 3D wireless headset. From some of the things Talmaster mentioned, one thing I will say is, it's out on Tal, like you were saying, it's relatively minimalist on the hardware controls that are available on the ear cups. But Sony, the left side ear cup is just a stinking like flower bed of hardware switches. So it's like everything is in that pad. There's a mute button, there's volume controls, there's an on-off button that actually, and this is kind of the thing that I'm seeing with a lot of headsets is that there's just something extra in like the on-off button arrangement. Like it doesn't just do on-off. It does something special. But there's that on-off button, like I said, a mute switch, controls for the keys, and something else I think is on. Oh, then there's a mixer balance, so you can bias it towards the in-game audio or the chat. But the thing that really blew my socks off was the audio quality. When you're playing Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, and you're walking through the forest, like when your avatar is up there on screen, when you're in the loading screen or just back at your home screen and doing your stuff, you can actually hear like the birds chirping, like when they cross through certain areas of that map. So. And I can definitely hear 9 times better than I hear with a regular headset. Last night I was playing, I was picking off people as, and I was able to do this a few times before with other headsets, but hearing somebody's footsteps and knowing they're coming around a corner, like exactly when they're coming around a corner and getting that few seconds of being able to put 3 rounds like around that corner as they come around it and immediately dropping them. But the headsets are also super comfortable. They're a little bulky. You look kind of weirder than I already do right now with these headphones on my ears. But I kept them on my head as I'm walking around the house, and I passed in front of a couple mirrors, and I looked and I was like, the headphones look really cool, but like this bulky head apparatus with the strap is kind of weird. Kudos on them too that the strap that they put in is a self-adjusting strap. So again, much of the same vein that Steel Series started using with its headsets. You don't have to size it to your own head. You just pull it on, and the elastic band stretches to fit whatever size you need. It uses a C charger, but after playing with it, it's also a $99.99 headset. After playing with it for a while, I was like, I don't know that I'm going to play Call of Duty with any other headset other than this. And it also made me curious. Because I said when the Pulse 3D headset came out and the Xbox wireless headset came out, I said last year I made a very big deal about going after the first-party headsets for both consoles. But after that experience where they didn't feel like anything special and they really didn't do anything special, I said for this generation, I was like, I'm not buying like the first-party headsets. But I got a hold of the Pulse, and now that I hear how amazing it sounds, I'm kind of like, I think I might need to get that Xbox wireless controller and go with the first-party headsets again, just to have what literally feels to me like the Pulse 3D just has the best audio of any headset that I've used in conjunction with the PlayStation 5.
Did you? I don't know if you got to like check out the mic. Like I don't know if you played multiplayer with people or not. Because that's one thing I forgot to mention. The mic is actually kind of short. It doesn't go all the way up. Well, for me at least, it kind of just goes to like my halfway up my cheek. So it's like kind of further behind than any other headset I've ever had. But when I was playing with my friends yesterday, and actually my friend and my nephew, they I'm assuming they didn't have any problems hearing me. Like that, you know, sometimes like when you're playing with people, they're like, what, you know, they keep saying stuff. But I've had with other headsets, but this time, I mean, they seemed to hear me clearly. They didn't say anything about the headset, and I didn't want to say anything because I just wanted to see like if they would say anything and stuff like that. So I was just wondering if you were able to check out that side of it.
No, I haven't. And the Pulse 3D headset is a little weird in that, and Sony's had this design around. I've had, I think, 3 generations back of this proprietary headset, first-party headset from Sony. And even if you go all the way back to I think the first one, it is I've always felt a little sketchy about it. It's a Bluetooth headset that includes a mic, but they don't give you any type of boom mic. It's got whatever vibrational, you know, attenuation or whatever it needs in the ear cups and the whole assembly for it to pick up your comms. So it does have a mic in it. It has no boom microphone, so you're wearing the headphones and you just speak and just assume that it gets picked up. But I haven't had an opportunity to actually use it or put it to the test just yet. No.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Tal, you want to go ahead and take us out with your recounting of your time with Mortal Kombat X on the Xbox Series X?
Yeah, so real quick, I was playing over the weekend my normal like shooters, Call of Duty and battle royale games and stuff, and I was just getting like trampled, like just crushed. I don't know what was going on that day. So I was looking for something else to play, and I didn't have my my Switch, my dock hooked up here, and I didn't feel like it was kind of late at night. I didn't want to be like scrambling around upstairs, like trying to unhook it and all that. So I was like, let me see what kind of fighting game. I felt like a fighting game for some reason. So I was looking out on my Xbox and see what I had, and I did have Mortal Kombat X, which I think is part of Game Pass, but actually I bought it a few years ago when it was on sale. You know, when they have those big sales. So I was just kind of screwing around in that. I was just playing around in there, and I played a little bit. I was playing originally through the story mode, so I kind of jumped back into that for a little bit, for like a half hour or so. So I was kind of playing through that, and I don't know what was going on in that game, in the story in that game. I was just at a point like I was like, what's going on? And maybe it's because I'd actually finished and beat the Mortal Kombat 11 story, so I guess just things weren't jiving just from, you know, the storyline going forward. So I think I was just lost there. But I played a little bit of that, and then I was just playing like the verses, just kind of screwing around with like fatalities and stuff, and trying to figure things out. So yeah, it was kind of just a fun to break away and do something a little bit different. And I think the one I got actually had all the DLC. So I had like I think the Terminator was in that one too, but they had the Alien and Aliens, which was kind of weird because, you know, usually you see him and he's kind of like hunched over, or maybe on all fours. Sometimes he's standing up, you know, on just 2 legs, but he's basically standing up like a human. So it looked like really weird when he's fighting and stuff. So, but it was fun to play as him and just kind of mess around. So let's see how graphics look pretty good. I mean, definitely they look better on 11, but even on X, they look pretty good, and you kind of see the evolution of where they went with the graphics there. So it was fun. I like kind of jumping back into that game.
Very cool. So let's go on and wrap things up talking about our PickZ PlayZ assignment for next week. This one is a twofer or a threefer, maybe even a nonefer. Season 2 in Fortnite and Season 2 in COD Black Ops. Some of us came into this year claiming that these persistent world games would hold more sway over us. But 3 months into the year 2021, is that still true? Take a walk down the current offering of your subscription game of choice, and let us know if you feel like you've come back home, or come back home the Thanksgiving after an election year and watch everyone mumble around each other in awkward near silence. If you're not on this year's if you're out on this year, if you're out on this New Year's claim, if you've already said, look, I'm not going to be able to stick with what I said, I'm going to wipe my hands and just kind of start over, then admit that. Come back to us, talk about it. Tell us that you've clapped out, and use this time in a similar fashion to however you think you want to play and plan how you're going to play for the rest of this year. I'm going to continue my stick of playing Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. I haven't resolved and wrestled down, again, kind of what this means, right? how often am I going to stick with this? I bought the battle pass, and now there's 28 days left, so I know I'm not going to be able to complete it. Am I going to play season 3? Do I need to settle into this paradigm of I play every odd numbered season? That might be an approach. And the answer is today, right now, I don't know. I'm going to come back and talk about that a little bit to see if playing more Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War cemented for me how I want to approach it for this year. Guys, anything else that you're thinking about playing for PickZ PlayZ?
No, not right now. I mean, I'm playing Cold War 2, but I'll probably try to pick something different. I have a few games actually that I might jump into and that I am playing, so we'll see for next time.
Jumping back into Destiny 2 would be the obvious choice, so I don't know if that's the way I'm going to go.
An enigma, as always, Swiss. Next week is a deep dive episode with Tao as our host, and I'll be joining him as a co-host for the discussion on gaming news and trends over the last couple of weeks. Guys, anything else that you want to add on to tonight? All right, well, without further ado, thanks so much for joining in with us tonight. This has been enough to keep going. Grown Ups Who Game, the GX show for March 2021, Part 2. As always, we enjoy having you. For those out there watching the archive version of this on the E2KG Network channel on YouTube, we appreciate you as well. Please feel free to like the video and subscribe to the channel so you can just receive a notification whenever we post new content. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Stay safe out there. Play the games that you like and come here to talk about the games that you love. Once again, my name has been Agasically Stamus on behalf of SwissGuard and Tau Master. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. We'll talk to you next time. Until then, good night, good luck, and good gaming. That's going to do it for us. We're out of here.